We are Steve and Jill.
Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. I'm Steve and Jack Butala.
And I'm Jill DeWit, and this is the Land Academy Show.
This is episode number 2188. Jill and I today are talking about the real cost of sending a land offer campaign mailer. Is it cost efficient? Does it cost anything at all? It doesn't cost me anything to send a text. Why do I have to spend money on mail? We'll talk about all these topics. We would not be here making millions of dollars a year buying and selling real estate if it wasn't cost efficient and incredibly fast and effective and for us, easy to execute and manage.
Yeah.
It's the greatest thing ever, quite honestly. Each day on the show, Jill and I answer a question from our Land Academy member Discord forum, and we take a deep dive into land-related topics by popular request.
Okay, Stanley wrote, how much money do you guys really make when you send out mail, and how much of it is because you have a lot of experience?
Oh.
That's a great question. That's a really
What he's
good
asking
question.
is, that's great, guys. I'm happy for you. You make so much money, but I'm brand new.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to learn all this stuff. It's going to take me, how long is it going to take me to be, what's the learning curve like for me to start turning out some deals to make some money?
Well, or even what kind of deal should I do? Which actually came up for me recently in a group session too. We had a sweet couple in there. They're new. They're getting married, I think, in August. So I think one of them's probably listening. And it was really cool because he said, look, the writing on the wall is if I'm going to use deal funding, which I am, Jack and Jill, I want to use your money, it needs to make sense. So we're just going for these bigger deals. That's where I'm going. I'm like,
good.
I said, yay, you're doing everything right. Thank you for listening and paying attention. You're right. And that's another way how you're going to make more money too. Just go for it.
He said getting married and writing on the wall all in one big.
I did. She's on board with all of this. It's them. They're a couple. They're a team. Just like you and I are a team in everything we do.
Hey, if you want to get to know your spouse really well.com, make sure she's your business partner and you do a daily podcast.
You know what? I wish we did more together. You know, there's times
you,
that exactly.
I miss you when I walk across the house.
I miss you when I go to the grocery store and you're not there. I miss you when I'm, every time I'm having lunch with my girlfriends, I go, gosh, it'd be way more fun if Jack was here.
You add value to every minute.
Yeah. And I wonder what Jack would say about fill in the blank, because I want his opinion on everything.
God, I hope I dressed okay today. I'm not going to see Jill all day, and I wonder if it's okay.
Yeah. Does you think this is a good hair color? Maybe I should ask first.
I have a
That's
truck
a T.
camper. An Arctic Fox truck camper in our driveway so that when Jill and I have just had enough of each other
Teamwork.
in a very healthy way. There's a lot of different ways I can phrase this when I need to go off and process new business ideas.
Oh, that's good. That. Oh, I'm going to do that. Oh, can I use that? I'm going to say, hey, when is new business idea weekend coming? I'm going to put it on the calendar for you.
The truck is packed.
Yeah.
It's got food in there and all kinds of stuff. And it's just ready. You turn the key, ready to go. And the key gets turned every once in a while.
And this is actually truth time. My girlfriends came to town a couple weeks ago, and you took the truck camper out for new business ideas. And you know what I did? I lovingly, seriously, made sure he had good sandwiches and some good food. I did, because I wanted you to have a good experience on your own.
You want to stay out multiple days.
Yep. Here's a week's worth of food. But Jill, I'm only going for 2 nights, just in case.
If you would like to hear about working with your spouse, please let us know. We'll do a whole week on that.
All right, back to Stanley's question. So you know what? How much really is when you send out mail, and how much is because you have a lot of experience? Can I answer this first, please?
For sure.
You, Stanley, get into the equity planner. I think you remember, and how much we make is how much we set out to make. I hate to answer it like that, but it's true. So we set out to only do deals. They're going to yield the money that we want to make per deal, to yield the money we want to make per month, to yield the money we want to make annually. That's it. And if it doesn't fall into those areas, we don't do the deals.
What Jill means
that's
is that
number one.
when there's land that's regularly trading on the internet or just on the market, the real estate market for, let's say, between $30,000 and $60,000, you can expect to buy that property for around $20,000 and sell it for around $40,000. If you're not going to do that in Manhattan, you're not going to do that in LA County. Those markets don't support that. That's also way too high of a number to do it in, let's say, Riverside County, where it's just desert squares. So what Jill's saying is you have a tremendous amount of control over where you send mail and for how much and what the yield's going to be.
And then the second part you asked, how much is because of your experience? Yeah, that's a fact. I'm going to get more deals when the phone starts ringing just because I've been doing this for so long. That's it. Does that mean you will never get to that? You sure can. Think about, and I'm sure there's many of you listening right now that think about your very first phone call when you just first found us and you got into this and you joined Land Academy and you're like, oh my God, I was a bumbling idiot on the phone. I could barely, spell APN, kind of thing. And explaining it to these sellers, I didn't sound good and whatever. And now you're so seasoned, you're into it, the call rings, you're excited like I'm excited. You're like, it could be a buyer, it could be seller. Who knows how old this mailer is? Let's see what this person's got. I know what to ask. And you're so experienced, and it could only be a year into it. You could only be a year into this and be so familiar with these areas because you've done deals there now that oh, okay, wait a minute, you're in such and such county. Okay, got it. Are you north or south of fill in the blank? You're going to be that way. So yeah, that's a real thing, just like anything. If I opened up a liquor store tomorrow, I would be the bumbling idiot.
Yep.
I wouldn't know what inventory to order and how to do tracking and SKUs and all that. But you're into it, I'm gonna know my stuff. So it's the same thing.
Jill, the liquor store owner.
Wouldn't that be fun?
It's extremely attractive.
I kind of feel like a liquor store owner because I have a liquor store behind me.
Yes, you do.
Jack stocks our liquor store. All right, on to the topic.
Today's topic, the real cost of sending a land offer campaign mailer. Hey, let's just start with the basic math.
That's what I want to know.
If you send out, your mailer is going to, in general, generate a 1% response. So what that means is if you send 10,000 letters out, 1% of 10,000 is about 100. So you're going to get 100 responses. Some of those responses, a material number, are going to be people that say, hey, lose my phone number. I'm not interested in buying this or selling this property ever. I'm going to die here. I picked out my tombstone. That's it. Go pound sand. A percentage are going to say that. Another percentage are going to call Joe back and they're going to say, look, I appreciate your pricing here, but that doesn't work for me. What does work is this number. And then that number may work for Jill or it may not. We don't know. Those are very specific case-by-case scenarios. A third of the fourth groups are, I do want to sell my property. And then we look it up and say, yeah, it turns out we don't want to buy it. It doesn't have any access. It's on the wrong side of the tracks, or for whatever reason, the due diligence doesn't pass due diligence.
Side of a cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the attribute I thought. It just doesn't. It's not the property that I want.
Uh-huh.
And then finally, the one that we're all looking for is a percentage of people that call back and say, yep, I do want to do this deal. Or yes, I do want to do this deal. Can you please add $600 to it or $1,000 to it to get my business partner off my back? Mm-hmm. So it's that last portion. It's a very predictable number, but that assumes two things. Number one, you do the mailer right and you mail it correctly or price it correctly. And number two, you execute with some reasonable success rate what Jill does. You take a real estate deal, a piece of real estate where there wasn't anything, and 10 minutes later, now you have a real estate transaction happening. Jill's an expert at that. And so that does, to answer Stanley's question, that takes some time. It depends on what you bring to the table. Jill's had a career sales position, corporate sales position. So, and I can price the mailers correctly. So there is a learning curve, but geez, on the other side of that curve is massive profitability for the rest of your life. The cost of doing that, you have to ask yourself. Now, let's say you send out 10,000 letters and you get that great deal. And in the equity planner, you planned on buying for 60 and selling for 100. And you do. And you get one deal. And you make $40,000 on it. You buy for 60 and sell for $100,000. Well, how much did it cost to send that mailer out? If you use offers to owners, it's going to cost you around 70 cents a unit. This is after all the scrubbing, and these are real. You're sending these to potentially real sellers. So that costs around $7 grand to send a mailer out ish. You can shave some money off of that, or you can spend a little bit more, have offers to owners do the mailer. Offers to owners is our company, Jill and I. So you spent 10 to make 40. Does that make sense to you? If you do 2 deals or 3 deals, now you're making 80. Now you're making 160, 120, and on and on and on. We've had mailers. We've sent out 300-400 unit mailers and done 5 deals. We've had 10,000 unit mailers that didn't yield a transaction. Why? The fish weren't biting that day, or they were.
Or I didn't like them.
Or Jill's just. The truth is, we leave a lot of deals on the table that we're so conservative about this.
I'm going to really go on record saying I can only think of one state and one situation that I would call a quote unquote failed mailer. It was West Virginia. Because every property that came back, it was undivided interest, and I didn't want to solve for that.
That's a really unique situation. That was
so it's really not even a real one.
They didn't really own the property, so
that's it. We sent offers to half of the party involved.
Yeah.
So you can't. So I'm going to argue that, and we didn't know going into it. That was many years ago.
Very hard to get. It's very hard to not do a deal.
That's it. You got to really try to not do a deal. And what I mean really try is you don't answer your phone, you don't open your mail, and you don't look at your email. You don't respond at all. That's the whole point. Because if you do, you can make a deal out of this. You really can. I can make a deal out of a lot of things.
We get a lot of, I'm going to end on this. That's the cost. And the ROI, the return on investment for doing a regular mailer is massive.
You're being very conservative.
I'm being crazy.
I want to point that out for anybody just listening, going like, "Wow, that's a lot of money," but you know what? No, he's being real conservative to set you up for realistic results.
Yeah, and you have a control over that. It's the same 10,000 letters the same $7,000 that you spend to do that. You may be buying properties for $300,000 and selling for $400,000, so you're making $100 grand a pop and doing 3 of those at a time. That's more likely. That's what we do. We need to make $100 grand on a deal, not to fund, but just for us in general. And we would probably do 2, maybe 3 deals every 10,000 ish. But those numbers are not. You can't apply that to yourself when you're brand new.
And there's different things that go on. Seasonality, like I will tell you right now, especially in today's climate, my phone is ringing more than it used to. So that's another thing. I could do, and I am doing more deals now than I was, 2 years ago.
It's critical to answer your phone. I cannot express that enough.
Exactly. Good.
We are Jack and Jill. Information
and enunciation
to buy undervalued property.
Thank you.
We hope you found our content valuable and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.